Because right now we have a unique opportunity, because not only are we going to talk about the paintings and see what's going on, but we're going to have a brief little chit chat. We're going to interview the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Arthur C. Bartner. Cheer, Brian, cheer. Come on over, come on over, come on over. We'll get you in frame. How you doing? I'm going to hug you.
I'm doing good.
He's doing good. All right, so we're doing this like the news. So every time you got to talk, I'll hold the mic on you. How's that sound?
Whatever you say, Dr. Vogel.
Well, you know what? Just for at least once in this interview, I want you to yank it out of my hands for old time's sake.
I don't have the energy to do that anymore.
All right, so let's come around. Why don't we come around this way? We'll come over here. Anthony, you can follow us, yeah? All right, follow us over here. So tell us, so this is one of the paintings that has bids on it, this self-portrait painting. So tell us about your process in deciding what to paint, how to approach it, and what has this project sort of meant to you in retirement?
Where to start? I've always had an affinity for the visual arts and never had the time, obviously. Yeah, for sure. So retirement, I have a lot of time. So I decided to paint and took some lessons, took some sketching lessons, so on and so forth. And the fall of my first year in retirement, actually a year out, I started working with watercolor. And I love watercolor because you can fix anything. You know, you can either dump more water on and it disappears, or you can paint over it, or you can do, it's great. Oil, you put it on canvas, you're stuck with it. And I love landscapes. I love nature, and I live 5 minutes from the beach. So a lot of these paintings have water in it. And during the pandemic, I wandered around the hills of Palos Verdes. So I've seen that cliff. In fact, this first painting is really down by the old marine land where there's a lighthouse, and I walk on there every weekend. So I know this spot very well. That's not me on the beach painting. That's really Monet. I stole that from a painting that I've seen Monet painting on the beach. But anyway, so it's a great joy for me, and I must admit there's tremendous correlation between music and art.
Well, how could there not be, right? The two are intertwined.
Yes.
And they're timeless, right? We're still playing Beethoven. We're still admiring these paintings, and it just lives on forever and ever and ever, right? So the landscape was a landscape you were visiting. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then the guy, you riffed it off of another painting.
Yes. The cliffs over on the far right, that's actually, the only difference is there's a lighthouse that sits up on the top there, and I bagged the lighthouse. And then, the rock formation could be anywhere. I think what's neat about this is the way everything focuses in on the subject of the painting, which is me/Monet painting. You have a diagonal of the cliffs into the rocks, and then you have this diagonal of the water's edge leading in. So everything focuses in to that point of view.
Is it hard to escape doing marching band drill in your head when you're doing these things, or does it help you kind of find those sight lines within the painting?
I have put the marching band really in the back drawer. I love going to the games, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Do I want to revisit that? No. Sure. But with music in general, on a broader scale, the colors really match up with the sounds. And as we go through, there's one over here which is really about colors, and it's all the secondary colors. There's no trumpets, trombones, tubas, drums. It's all about clarinets, flutes, saxophones. So it's all about what they call in the prism of the rainbow. It's your primary colors are red, yellow, blue. Your secondary colors are purple, green, orange. Very good. And then it's how you mix these colors, just like you mix sounds on the football field. It's how you mix them together is really the creative process.
Excellent, excellent. All right, well, we've got 7 of these paintings in front of us. We talked about this one. Which one do you want to talk about next? You want to talk about the one you pointed out before? Here, we'll wander through.
This one is a great example of color, and you can see there's a lot of purple violet all over this thing. There's a strong diagonal. You can see my style as we go through. Yeah. There's a strong diagonal. There's a kind of a purple bluish piece of water, but you know, again, the focus is this sunset, and it's pretty bright, but it's orange surrounding a yellow stream, and maybe the yellow is those obnoxious tenor saxes. I don't know.
Obnoxious tenor saxes. Eva, are you going to stand for this?
But anyway, yeah, I like. This is also interesting about this painting. It's also a multimedia, because you have water, but these rocks, these are actually charcoal.
Oh, the rocks are charcoal.
Yes, I got my charcoal out and I drew that, and so all these rocks are all charcoal. So it's kind of a neat approach, but I really had a lot of fun with this sky. I mean, it's just like this is really the creative process.
What was the source of inspiration for this one? Where'd you find this?
Well, I'm very fortunate because in my townhouse that you've been,
we were there last year, a year ago.
I actually watched the replay of that, and I had a comment from one of our band alumnus and said, you know, your wife is really pretty. What about me?
Yeah,
what happened about me?
You know, we have that in common, Dr. Bartner.
But on the top of this townhouse is a deck, and from this deck, I can catch the sunset.
That's great.
So, you know, and weather, which is nice, I can go up and at whatever time, 8 o'clock, and look at the sunset. So
that's wonderful. So this is from the deck, the top of the townhouse.
Right.
Love it, love it. But that's a few floors up from the man cave.
5?
5. It's a few. It's a ways. Yeah. You be careful on those stairs. All right, let's. This one's got the water going on. I'm gonna loop around because I'm a little tangled on the mic.
Yeah, I'm running to get my water while you're.
Oh, please get your water. Yeah. Come on over. All right. So he's grabbing his water. So we're talking about water. He's getting thirsty. So tell us about. So this kind of looks like. Is this a bridge? Is it an aqueduct? What is this precisely?
Well, there's another painting which I really like, which has this bridge, which is from the Big Sur region, you know, Route 1. So I took the bridge from the Big Sur, and it was a tremendous. I mean, how do you make water that looks like water? You know, that looks like it's flowing, and so it was really a challenge. And then you start mixing colors again. And while I was mixing blue and ultramarine blue and rose, while I was mixing the colors, messing around, this kind of lavender popped up, and I said, "It's my painting. You know, if I want to make the water lavender, who's going to question me?
Who's going to stop you? Nobody.
Nobody." So, and what's neat about this is and you'll appreciate this, is that the brush has become a substitute for the baton. Nice. So instead of a baton, you have a brush.
Paintbrush like this, huh?
So the water is kind of, long, smooth, very legato, if you will, and the water. And then you get to the rocks. Now, you're like dabbing stuff. You're dabbing different colors.
Bam, bam, bam.
Exactly. So this is a good example of different brush strokes. The bridge is very smooth, and we'll talk about it later. But you always have to know where the light source is coming from.
Yeah, of course.
So the light, the sun is over here somewhere, so you can see the shadows and so forth, and the light hits the rocks here, and then it gets dark here. So, and then I threw a couple of, you always look for balance in a painting. So I needed something on the right that balances the rocks on the left. So I could have put a couple of ugly trees in there, and, why not?
Trees are great. Not all trees are ugly. The Stanford tree is ugly, but this tree is wonderful.
I love trees. And the one thing I've found out, the more you paint, the more you're aware of nature. I love clouds. Clouds, the formation of clouds are just marvelous. So there's all these, and trees and flower, all nature, you become very aware of your surroundings.
Absolutely. All right, so I picked this one. You pick the next one that you want to show off to us. Which one? We'll keep going down the line. All right.
Yeah. And I'll tell you why. This is, we took the band, a part of the band, on a summer trip. Yeah. We took them to Italy.
Great.
We did the expo in Milan. And it was a pretty marvelous trip. But after we did we accompanied an opera singer on the Italian national anthem. That was pretty wild. There was a lot of, and it was one of these in La Forza Castle, and one of these 16th century castles. It was wild. But anyway, after the business of the day, we took a boat ride on the adjacent to the Cinque Terre.
Okay.
Everybody knows Cinque Terre, and there's 5 cities and old buildings. And so if you can imagine, the boat is out here in the ocean, and then you have all these, I just picked 3 buildings, but and you can see each building, the one closer to the sun is the lightest, and then it's a little bit darker, and then it's a lot darker. And then the shadows from the overhang starts, it's an olive, and then that olive is a darker and a blue. And then you get over here, and it's bluish purple. So
Correct.
you can see the progression of the light. The piazza is pretty much yellow and then turns into blue. And anyway, this is, you never know. From a band trip, you can start painting.
Of course. Now, is this based on is it a photograph, a collection of photographs, just some memories? How'd you conjure this one?
Photographs, it's funny because on this boat, because I leave my wife in the shade, she didn't go outside, but I start wandering around, I look, and the band is sunbathing in the back of the boat. They're not looking, maybe they're sleeping because they've been up all night. Right. So, but me, I'm taking pictures as we go by. I'm taking pictures of all these houses. And so you look at these pictures and you go, well, you might take a house. Well, actually, these 3 houses are from one photograph. But you start compiling from different photographs, magazines. But when I walk, I take pictures all the time.
Of course, of course. But that's at this trip. That's pictures. That's a camera with film in it. I bet.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome.
That is not on my iPhone.
All right, let's come out. Let's look at this one. This one, I have to say, when you first agreed to donate these paintings to us and send them our way, this one just jumped out at me. This one was really beautiful. So tell me about, is this a photo? Where did this one come from?
This is definitely one of the most popular, if not the most popular painting of this lot. And a good friend of mine, Dan Cassidy, I went out to lunch with him and his wife and Barbara Kotler. And of course, I got rolled up my sleeve and became like a used car salesman and said, hey, I got these paintings.
Yeah.
He picked this painting.
Oh, nice.
He wants to bid on this painting. And the thing that's neat about this painting is that composition. And I like to quote Stephen Sondheim.
Okay.
Stephen Sondheim composed a wonderful Broadway show, Sunday in the Park with George.
Great.
Bernadette Peters, Mandy Patinkin. Anyway, it's about painting. It's about Seurat. It's about a painting. And his definition of composition is it's giving order to the whole.
Okay.
You're a composer, arranger.
Sure.
So you already know I like water. I like the ocean.
Of course.
All right. I like cliffs. Sure. There's another one. Now, there's the bridge.
Yeah.
You've already seen three of them.
Playing the hits.
Now, what did I add? I added some mountains in the back. But what sells this painting? Bid higher.
Yeah.
These are called lupines.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of that. I haven't either, but I've been educated.
Not much of an arborist, huh?
Yeah. But anyway, I loved the colors. And again, the shading becomes real important. Again, the sun's over on the right. You can see it's pretty white. There's some white, a lot of paint into the pines, violets, and it gets dark on it. But anyway, I think this is what really attracts people to this painting. Mm-hmm. And again, the fact that the subject is really the bridge. Right. By the way, another thing is, and if Dante is listening, when you write drill, you've got a foreground, you've got a middle ground, and you got a background. Right. Same thing in painting. The foreground is the pines, all the foliage, and then the middle ground is the bridge. And by the way, it's kind of neat. I took that bridge, and then this road kind of wanders up.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And then it just disappears. I lost interest in it, so it just disappears. And then the background is the mountains, and what Brett, who helped me select these paintings, he said, "Why did I put ski runs into this paintings?"
Yeah. They do look like ski runs.
I said to him, "Well, I didn't think there were ski runs, but if you want to say there's ski runs, it's okay with me. You can say it's interpretation, whatever you want to say."
Yeah. If the check clears, it could be ski runs all day, right?
Right. Right. But anyway, the composition comes as putting these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements together and balancing it so that you have a beautiful painting.
It is beautiful. If I give you some of my artistic interpretation, what pulled me into it, and so you have these lovely plants, this lavender, this purple over here. You have the ocean, and water, water is what gives life to especially plants, etc. But you can see just ever so slightly a little bit of that violet in the water. And it's almost, it sort of bridges that gap from the water to the plants. I don't know. Again, we're talking interpretation, but I just thought that was a wonderful touch to see the bridge of those two colors working together.
If I can be very honest,
Yeah. Please.
I don't plan a lot of these stuff.
That's fine.
I intuitively luck out a lot. So I didn't plan to put the violet into the ocean. It's just, I just look at the ocean and say, it's too calm. I need a little bit of this and of that. And I start dipping in stuff and mixing stuff around. And I keep working until my wife calls me.
Sure.
Right. My wife will say, it's 10 o'clock. It's time to take your pills. Okay. Then I'll come back. And then she'll say, well, it's 11 o'clock. The news is on. You got to watch Rob McMillan. Go on the news. So I'll just keep working until, something says to me that, oh, this looks good.
That's wonderful. I love it.
I do it. It's great. And there's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
There's nobody judging these things. I'm thrilled that people, want to bid on them, and you get a piece of Dr. Bartner creativity hanging on your wall. I'm honored.
That's it. It's a big honor. We're honored to have you here. All right. So we talked about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's 2 more of these we got to look at. Now this one, there's a lot going on here. It's a very active one. Tell us about this one.
There's a in Monterey, the Monterey Peninsula. There's a great drive, scenic drive, 21 miles, something like that. And so I took that drive with my family when my kids were young, older than your kids, but still young. We took that ride and kept going along and taking pictures. And this is what I came up with. And what's neat about this is texture. Right. Texture is texture and space and all musical terms. Sure. By the way, there's famous examples. Copland said that he composed based on colors. Sure. Kandinsky was a great violinist who decided to paint. Clay, another contemporary artist, great musicians. But anyway.
Well, even the beginning of Appalachian Spring, you remember the note for the clarinet?
Yeah.
White tone. That's the note in the clarinet part to kick the whole thing off. Just that very pristine, a lot of daylight between it all. Yeah. But tell us, it almost looks like, just catching it, like it is oil on canvas, but it's watercolor, right?
Yes. Contrast. Well, what's great about this is that when you talk about values, which is, values of colors, there's soft edges. I mean, look at these clouds. Right, there's a great song about the orange sky. But there's no edges here. It just kind of all flows. And then you look at these trees, the trunks, very strong edges, strong textures. The textures in the leaves of the trees, these kind of they're not slashes, but they're what Monet called touches, sure. touches of colors, greens and whites and so on. So you have that. And then this it's kind of a pool of water, and this is a very Gauguinish. If anybody's watching this, your assignments are to start looking up some of these painters. Monet, Gauguin, Van Gogh is another great texture of more slashes. Pissarro painted trees, and he set up a screen and forced the viewer to look through. And, if you want to find these houses, you got to look through these trees.
Of course.
So I think texture is important. These rocks on the bottom are very hard edge, where the shoreline is very soft. So, and then I got a little crazy, these mountains. But that's a great color, isn't that a color? I mean, it's like, again, who's going to judge this? Anthony?
No, not a chance.
Not a chance.
Anthony, are you going to judge this?
He's not even paying attention.
Oh, he can't. The phone's funny. He's got to look at the camera so he can see what we look like. That's his monitor. He's way paying attention. Anthony, right? Yeah. All right. So we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here we go. We haven't talked about this one yet.
Yes.
I see boats. We got boats on this one.
Again, this is the cannery in Monterey. This is, from the same trip. And we stayed in Monterey. And this building is called a cannery in Monterey. And really, the vocal point are these boats.
Yep.
By the way, a good question is, how long does this take?
Yeah. How long does this take?
Yeah, I would say 3 to 4 weeks.
Wow.
2 to 3 hours a night.
Wow.
So it isn't. It's interesting. I say, it takes about 2 weeks to prepare a show.
Yep.
With 300 kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's just me, the canvas,
Yeah.
and a paintbrush and paints, and I'm sitting there and I'm trying to make 3 boats, but get the reflection in the water. The thing that's interesting again, if this is the vocal point, I've taken this color, this yellowish beiges, and I've taken this and surrounded where I want the viewer to look. And I want him to look at the boats. Right. So, and this is a great example of brush strokes. There's all kinds of, there's that weird blue that I like again, but there's all kinds of different kinds of brush strokes, mountains, you can kind of see the things that I like to put into my pictures. But this is one of the few with boats.
You've spent your whole life avoiding blue, so now you can just revel in it in your retirement.
I still have a problem with blue, but the sky and the water are just wonderful. So you bite the bullet and you have to use it. But again, there's just all different kinds of blue. There's a light blue. I mean, this is the value. If you're playing horn, you can make that horn sound depending on the group. If you're playing with a woodwind quintet, horn sound stuff. If you're playing with a brass, you have a different sound. If you're playing with a marching band, God forbid you pick up a mellophone, it's a different sound. So it's the same thing here, that you have different values of color. Light blue, kind of a medium blue with some waves going on. You get down here and you get some really abstract kind of turquoise blues. So you have, different values of blue. Over here you have, this is interesting because you've got a little reflection in the water of some darker blues, and you just start mixing colors and having a good old time.
So has this, you got away from the band and you retired and you're enjoying your time with Barbara and by the beach and your routine. What enrichment has this activity sort of brought to your life at this point in time?
Well, for me, number one, I have to be busy. I am not one to sit home and watch television or golf. Golf to me is very boring. You know, you chase a little white ball and you hit all these great shots, and then you're missing 4-foot putt like what's his name, McElroy did on it. You know, it happens to me way too often. So I give up that. But what painting does for me, it becomes, you know, I do a lecture of how my day is divided. I do spend a lot of time exercising because I've spent my life moving, conducting, exercising my voice, it's screaming. But the painting for me, it keeps the creativity going. The best part of the marching band is creating these shows, getting the staff together. You got some talented guys. You know, Chris Norton is one of my favorite guys, and getting all these and getting ideas from the students, and putting these shows together, and then you put it out on the field, and you still might be like, I will paint, and then I'll let it go, and I'll go to sleep. And then I come up in the morning and I sit there, and before I eat breakfast, I'll look at the painting. And I'll go, oh, you know, I can do better. That doesn't look, that's, you know, I'm going to fix that. So I eat breakfast, boom, boom, and then when I come down, I fix that spot in the painting. Same thing, if you look at a drill and it doesn't look quite right, you fix it. So I love the creative process. So I don't ever want to lose that curiosity of how to create these colors and organize these compositions. So I guess that's why I do it.
You still got the energy in there. Don't let anyone think otherwise. So all of you out there, get on the website. Get on the website, bid on these paintings. There's still 4 of them with no bids. You could be the only person bidding, right? And you have an opportunity to hang not just one-of-a-kind artwork, but there's a clear trajectory of somebody who dedicated their life to one art form and found enrichment in their life in another art form along with it. Dr. Bartner, what's one thing you want everyone out in the world to know at this day of support about anything else we've missed in our conversation?
Well, 2 thoughts come to mind. We're all going to retire someday.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
I know you guys are young bucks, and you know you're going to live forever.
Casey's never retiring. He's staying with me forever. Bet.
But when you retire, and in my case, you give up this great band that we all love and we've spent all this time with. What's going to take the place of that? And when you retire, you need to find a purpose, in this case, a new passion. And this is what art has done for me. And by the way, it can be music, it can be art, it can be dance, it can be poetry, it can be theater, it can be, I love the arts. And for painting, this is what this has done for me. And my advice is, when it is your turn to retire, make the most of it. Don't just, you know, pull up a chair and turn on the television. And no, find something that you love to do and maybe haven't done any other time in your life, and go after it.
Sage advice from Dr. Arthur C. Bartner.